So it seems like Meech and Terry are at a major crossroad in how they want to move forward with the BMF. Throughout the first 2 seasons, we've seen how big Meech's vision is, and it showed at the end of episode 6 with how he set his eyes on K9's Colombian Connect. And even with Terry warning that's not the right move, Meech seems like he's gonna press on with his plans, which will put a lot of characters in jeopardy. Going behind K9's back could bring devastating consequences, because we're all familiar with how ruthless K9 is. Similar to Lamar in some sense, he doesn't play games with those who cross him, but we do know these are 2 characters who will do whatever it takes to rebuild the BMF and keep their empire strong. So the stakes continue to be raised as they meet the Colombian Connect back in Detroit. Meech knows as far as long as Lamar is on the streets, he can't expand the way he wants, and that's a problem. Lamar is a huge problem that needs to be taken care of, but will they finally cut Lamar's water off, or will he continue to cause chaos? Elsewhere, we've got Markisha who needs help from Terry, but could this be where pleasure gets in the way of business? So we're gonna break down all things BMF Season 2, Episode 7 in this trailer breakdown. Now the title of Episode 7 is Both Sides on the Fence, and the synopsis reads, in a risky move that could cost them their lives, Meech and Terry travel to St. Martin to steal K9's Colombian Connect. Now the title for Both Sides of the Fence gives us an insight into what we can expect for Episode 7. This refers to 2 different positions or perspectives that are normally opposed to each other. There's a clear divide between 2 people which causes a barrier, and the fence is what separates the 2 characters who have different opinions. So this is exactly where Meech and Terry find themselves. On one hand, Meech wants to meet the Colombians and go straight to the plug behind K9's back. He wants to turn into suppliers rather than buyers, whereas Terry knows that's the wrong move. They'd be better off staying in their lane. Terry was against the idea from the moment Meech mentioned it, and he sticks by his guns in episode 7. He's not on board with getting in contact with the Colombians directly, especially because they'd be doing so behind K9's back. Now, over the course of the season, we've seen how ruthless K9 can be. He shot the basketball coach over the bet that he didn't adhere to after his team lost the basketball game. He killed Big L by ripping her mouth out, and also killed Cinderella after he shot him and Meech in a drive-by. Now, each one of these kills was a stark reminder to Meech. He needs to stay in his lane, or he'll end up just like one of these 3 characters. K9 also has been spitting some regular game to Meech and teaching him how to run his organization, keeping loyalty amongst his soldiers, something we have seen Meech take on board. K9 once told Meech he needs to repay his soldiers from time to time, and we've seen Meech adopt this by telling Hoop what's Meech's is also his, giving him the keys to his car, and he followed up by buying a burial site for Kato and B Mickey's mom to show his appreciation of how B's held it down for him. But this lesson that K9 once taught Meech was followed up by presenting him with lips of Big L, because she talked too much and he took care of that. So he also showed Meech what happens if you get on his bad side. So going behind K9's back is something that could have devastating consequences, and Terry definitely recognizes that. He doesn't trust the middlemen, and nor does he trust K9 if he ever finds out, because believe me, the streets talk, and when and if he finds out, it will be trouble. But Meech's vision is big. He wants to put BMF on the map after the drug drought hit their organization, and so we will see them heading to St. Martin in a risky move that could cost them their lives. Because who's to say the Colombians will even work with them? How can Meech look K9 in the eyes after he goes behind his back? Believe me, the last thing they need to do is create an enemy out of K9, especially when Lamar is still on the streets, which is a whole separate problem in itself. Meech says that they need to end Lamar for good, but they would never have been in this situation if he took the second shot like B Mickey did with Kato at the end of season 1. Lamar in episode 6 was on demon time. He bit a random person's ear off and took his dog, which I'll come back to in just a moment. But he also killed Saki and 2 members of the PA crew, and you can bet he's gonna come again, and he'll keep on coming until he bodies Meech and Terry. Now, I was about to say Lamar was a one-man army, but not anymore. He has Blackie by his side, who's been in war himself, and he seems like he's grown a quick connection to Blackie, which was reaffirmed when Alvin and one of the PA boys called him a mutt. Where things could really take a turn and when Lamar could really lose it is if someone actually killed his dog. Just imagine the craze and what Lamar would do if someone put a bullet in Blackie. I really wouldn't be surprised if that happened. And I do want to link this back to Power for a moment, because we have seen it happen to Tommy's dog in Power, and also when Scrappy bent Tony's dog in Raising Kanan. So this is something that would tip Lamar over the edge once again, ripping something away that he's grown an attachment to. So I do think the storyline with Lamar and his new dog is one to keep an eye on. It is something that could pour more fuel to this fire. Now, Pasture Swift is someone who knows the consequences of the game and the trouble that comes with it. We hear him asking both Meech and Terry to repent or we shall all perish, and I do feel they do need to take a step back and stay in their lane, especially when it comes to going behind K9's back, but we all know they won't, because they can't, especially when it comes to Lamar. They've already come too far and they're willing to do whatever it takes, as well as knowing there are no nights off in this game. If they drop their guard, then it's over. Lamar will definitely cut their water off. Although never underestimate the power of God and a prayer. Lucille showed how powerful a prayer actually was when it saved her life. Although when she did, Lamar's history with his own mom coming to light may have also played a part. But will Meech and Terry take on board Pastor Swift's advice? Let's wait and see. Now we also see Markisha ringing Terry and telling him that she needs him because she's in trouble, which is a complete contrast to what she said in the note that she left him at the end of episode 6. In episode 6, she told him that even though she was facing physical abuse at the hands of her husband Boom, she needed financial stability, and that's something Terry couldn't offer. At the end of the day, Terry is just a kid, and he's just building his organization after spending a short stint in the car ride service. But now it seems like the tables have definitely turned, and Markisha needs Terry. Maybe the physical abuse has become way too much, and she may have realized she's made a mistake. Maybe she wants to go back to Terry, who said he'd treat her like a queen. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if this got in the way of business, especially considering she's Boom's wife. The last thing they need is to get on K9's bad side, Lamar in the streets, and create yet another enemy in Boom. But no doubt, Terry's feelings for Markisha is strong, and let's not be surprised if he does come to her rescue. Now, the other element we need to keep in mind is Wanda and her mom's plan, as well as Detective Brian and Jin, using this relationship with Markisha to manipulate this situation, because they know they can't use B. Mickey anymore, so it may be time for them to turn their attention to Terry's relationship with Markisha, so Boom is a character to definitely watch. Now, speaking of B. Mickey, we do need to see what happens with B, because at the end of episode 6, he revealed the wire he was wearing under his hat, and Meech couldn't believe it. He was furious that B. Mickey was a snake. Albeit B. Mickey was backed into a corner by Detective Brian and Jin, it doesn't change the fact B will now have to be dealt with, because that's the street code. Snitches need to go.
No! Help!
We saw a bag being put over B. Mickey's head at the end of episode 6, and no doubt, Meech and Terry have a big decision to make. B's been with them for a long time, but does Meech let him go, telling him to never come back, or does he kill him? Will B. Mickey suffer the same fate as Kato? That's the question. But that's a breakdown of episode 7's trailer, and an episode where Meech and Terry will get deeper into the game by trying to go after K9's Connect, effectively cutting out the middleman. But they do need to be careful because the last thing they need is another killer on their backs. On top of K9, they already have a target on their backs when it comes to Lamar, so imagine adding K9 and Boom on top. It could be devastating to Meech's plan to expand and also puts the lives of those in the BMF in jeopardy. But drop all your thoughts down below on all things episode 7, and of course if you are new to the channel and you haven't done so already, then remember to smash the subscribe button if you want to see everything BMF and Power Universe related. But as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.